Hello, my fellow teachers. I'm just making this because I was going to share my code and I thought, well, I might share my code and my thinking. So this is the Make Change program. I made it kind of according to my own internal logic rather than one that we were pointed towards because I figured that's probably more learning that way. So if you're interested, I'm going to step through the choices that I made and why I made them. So first things first, I brought in static console and I brought in static convert. I don't actually know what static convert does, but it was in the example, so I brought it into mine. That's just the thing that comes with any new project, and I've got change calculator at the top. So actually, let's have a quick look at it running. So go down here to my terminal. It is .NET run. There we go. Okay, price of the item in $4.25, and we tender $5, and it tells me the total change and it tells me the specific coins to use. So let's go back to the decisions that I made. I have set up a bunch of variables here that I'm going to be using within loops and functions, but I want them to be able to be accessed by the various loops and functions, so I've declared them out here in the main part of the program. That's to do with a thing called scope. So this first one here is an array. I had to look up how to do that in C#. And this variable called coins, you'll see I'm using Pascal case, is an integer, and there are the values. So $2 coin all the way down to a 5-cent coin. I've also set up a variable called price, tender, and change. You'll notice that change is represented as a double so that it can have decimal points in it. So, and finally, I have set this Boolean with enough. Now, this is so that I can check whether they have given me enough money to cover the price. So, if we watch my program again, I'll show you this in action. So, we run it. It is $4.25, but they only tender $3. And so it says, please tender a greater amount. So that's just a check later on. And at the moment, it starts off as being false. So we assume that they haven't given us enough money. Then we just do a write line to ask the question, and we collect the variable price, and we're doing that as a read line, and we're making sure that it's an integer, and that's a 32-bit integer, but that should be fine. So this is where that enough variable goes in. So while, and this is this section from line 17 to 29, while enough equals false. So we're assuming they haven't given us enough money. So we're going to ask how much was tendered. We're not asking this before they've put the price in because we're not going to need to repeat that. So, how much did they tender? Then we read it. Now, if the amount they tendered, the amount they gave us, is greater than or equal to the price, then we'll say that enough now becomes true and they're released from this while loop. Else, which means they failed that test, then we write please tender a greater amount, and they would go back up here and be asked again. So they can't leave this while condition while enough equals false. Now that I've got that, I know that my change will equal tender minus price. And I write line total change in dollars, and that is where I divide change by 100. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and count through the individual coins and see how many of each one we can give back. I'm assuming that we want to give them back the biggest denominations that we can. And that's why I set up the denominations in this order from the most valuable coin to the least valuable coin, because I'm basically going to say, hey, how many $2 coins can we give you? Right, now that we can't give you any more $2 coins, what's the next biggest coin we can give you? So going through this, I'm counting for an I. We're starting at 0 and we're going to 6. And we're incrementing by 1. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because of course it's less than 6. Now, I'm going to set another Boolean here, but this one only functions inside of this loop, so I didn't define it all the way at the start of the program. So we're going to try this coin, set that as true. And while it is true, I'm going to do all of this stuff here. I'm saying if the change, so how much we owe the customer, minus this type of coin, so that's coins, and that's the index value, because this is an array, or from an array, this index value is 0 to first. So that's a $2 coin we're looking at. So if the change minus this particular coin is greater than 0, well, that means I can give them one of these coins. So then I'm going to reduce the amount the change is. So, I've given them a $2 coin. Well, I owe them $2 less. And I say, give the customer a dollar coin. Now this little if statement here, is just to differentiate between the dollars and the cents. I could talk about them as 200-cent coins, but I think that's just confusing. So this is just to differentiate that message. You'll notice up here that the value of the coin divided by 100 is what I do for the dollars. And if it's less than $1, then I give them a coin and I don't divide it by anything, and I put cents on the end. But if I can't pay them with the $2 coin because I don't owe them $2, then I just set try this coin to false. So that, just to look at this, will take us back to this bit here. And then we kick the loop off again with the next coin. So this time, I equals 1, which means it'll be the coin with the index value of 1, which is going to be a 100-cent coin or a dollar coin. And then I'm going to keep trying that. So I might end up giving them, I'm probably only going to give them 2 or 1, because if I could pay them with a 20-cent piece, I would. So you're kind of descending down. So all of that does all of that, and that actually is the whole program, because the printing out of the values is done here as we cycle through those various coins and see how they go about acquitting our debt. So I hope that was useful, and if it's not, then feel free to give me feedback about how it could be more useful.